I'm William C. Loho, welcoming you to this very exciting program on TV. It's the first of its kind. It's the first of its nature, I think, on West African soil. I just want to enjoy you to sit back and watch us, sit back and learn, sit back and get informed. This is one platform, one program you don't want to miss. So welcome once again to the program this day. Thank you very much. Now, I have with me in the studio someone of very, very important, of very preeminent importance. I want to say I have with me in the studio, let me just give you a tip of the iceberg. He is an academician. He is a leader par excellence. He is the Dean of Diploma Studies here at Redeemed Christian Bible College. He is also a provincial pastor of Ogun Province 23. He is an author of best-selling books. So he is no other than our father, Dr. Dare Ajayi. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
We're privileged to have you, sir.
No, it's an honor to be here.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Dr. Dare has been a leadership expert. He's taught Christian leadership on several platforms. He's written books in that regard. And when we talk about politics, we talk about leadership by implication. So we want to have him to open the floor for us by giving us a little tip into what leadership is about. Sir, we would like to know from you what, in a simple layman term, not too technical, how would you describe, what is leadership?
I'll be discussing, first be defining leadership from a theoretical perspective.
All right.
And at the same time be considering leadership from practical experience.
Beautiful.
And so theoretically, of course, you have different school of thoughts.
Sure.
John Maxwell, John Sanders, you have numerous school of thoughts. But I'll be speaking collectively on the angle of what I know leadership is, summarizing all of that, what it actually meant.
Okay.
So it would be safe to say that leadership is just a process initiated either by providence or self-effort to appointing one among equal in a reflective manner towards the accomplishment of a goal, both for the leader, the organization, and the led. And that is just as simple as that. So it's a process. It's something that is ongoing. It's a continuum.
Okay.
It does not end. It doesn't end with the one that is presently in the office, because that's why you normally will have the predecessor principle.
Yeah.
At a time you have to aspire. So even if you choose to die there, nature has a way of working you out. So that the next person that has been destined to be there will also come around.
Yeah, and have his own.
And also have his own input. And that's one of the good things about leadership. So.
And that's a lot to take home. But I like the part where you said it's a continuum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we've seen people who dare to want to be there. Even if you go back to history, there are a lot of people who wanted to stay in leadership, but somehow, just like you said, are no longer there. Whether they died, whether somehow nature has a way of just filtering. Once that stage or your time is up, you just find out that you're not there for some reason.
There are some occasions that if you insist on using the tool of office and power to still sit in there, then relevance is taken off you.
Yeah. So you just occupy the seat.
So you just find out that if your essence is to have been there for 4 years or 8 years, or you decide to extend it thinking you have this power, relevance and significance is taken away from the expiration of that 8 year. What happened to the years after? You essentially just become a scone.
Okay. That's tough. That's tough. However, looking at that, talking about wanting to maintain consistency, it will bring me to ask the next question I was pondering about. Is there any difference between leadership and politics, or are they one and the same thing, sir?
Politics is just the dynamics of human interaction in governance.
Okay.
It's a dynamics. It's one of the dynamics of human interaction when it comes to governance. It is possible to be in leadership without being in politics. But it's also important for you to know that politics is a reflection of the leadership within a particular space. What I meant is this.
Yeah.
The category of men you find in leadership, they are essentially a reflection of what you raised. If, for example, you talk about church politics,
Right.
or a Christian going into politics,
Right.
what they end up turning out to become when they no longer have direct supervision, direct spiritual influence over them,
Yeah.
will be a true reflection of the food you give to them while they were under you. Now that your level of influence is limited and they interact with society, you only see a reflection of what you had imputed, 80%.
That's
80%.
interesting to know. In other words, like they say, both leadership, money, and power actually reveal what's in it. It doesn't bring, as it were, upon a person. It actually just reveals what that person has had all along. It just gives you the leverage to express what you already have. Okay, talking from that, can we just take, what are some of the qualities that one should look out before we say, or that one should see before we say this is a good leader, whether politically or generally?
When you're looking at qualities,
Yeah.
there's a difference between giftings and qualities.
Okay.
You know, you need to separate between a gift and, because you may start talking about qualities, now you're referring to the nature or the character of the person's concern. Let me draw a line like this.
Okay.
It is possible to be an highly intelligible president, yet a thief.
That's interesting.
So what that eventually means is this. It is possible to have a very gifted person that is characterless. And what that also spills to is this. It is possible to have a man who beats his wife privately at home also getting elected to becoming a local government chairman. So the fact that he's a local government chairman now does not make him a good leader.
Okay.
So leadership evaluation and assessment starts from the private life of the man in leadership before his public life. So when you start speaking about quality, you first and foremost speak about the life of the man in leadership or the life of the man in politics.
The life,
Now,
which is a character.
in the true sense of it, you know, the definition I gave earlier, I said leadership is a process initiated either by providence or self-effort. In other words, it's either you lobby to be there, structured to be lobbied to be there, or that God, you know, there's an invincible hand that just structure you to be there.
Yeah. There's a book, I read a book, they said the accidental leader. So such a case, it will explain what you're trying to say, that you really didn't go vie for it or fight for it or make any effort, but for some reason you were chosen.
Posterity just brought you in.
Yeah.
So if you say leadership is a process initiated either by providence or self-effort to appointing one among equal. Don't forget what I said. One among equal in a reflective manner towards. Now, when we will now start talking about the qualities of a good leader, the first point of call will be the life of a good leader. So his private life comes first. See, much of the crisis you have in a society today is that we're always confused. I recall there was a time where we had somebody in my country, Nigeria, they said somebody was coming to vie for the office of a president, and in a little conversation, somebody said, oh, the man is the most transparent, the most honest person. I think he only has about 10 cows and has 1 million naira in his account. So I sat back and I said, that isn't true. They said, no, that's the truth. I said, see, that's part of the problem we have. We have a society that produces politicians. And this society is also a reflection of your spiritual worship locations. Now, in the spiritual worship locations, we breeded people who don't celebrate truthfulness and honesty. You don't say what you don't know. And the person said, hey, Doc, what do you mean? I said, the man that has
10 cows.
10 cows, have you been to his house? He said, no, that's what they said. He has 1 million naira in his bank account. I said, are you sure? He said, that's what they said. I said, the fact is that on the strength of our conversation now, there's no integrity in you to the point where I could support the person you are vying for. So the leader felt a little touched.
Yeah.
He now said, okay, let me go and investigate. I said, Now, the problem is that if someone like you had been in politics, you have also been manifesting falsehood.
That's interesting.
So at the end of the day, he found out that it wasn't 10 cows. He found out it wasn't 1 million. So by the time he came back, I only just said something. I said, the reason I love probing questions is because leadership is first and foremost about character, not about charisma, nor talents, nor gifts. The leader you have in politics today were all raised from a religious environment. They were all members of a religious system.
Yeah, definitely.
So whatever you find out there is a reflection of what we had raised privately as religious persons. One of my professors, it's late now, I so admire him so much. The man is late now. They call him Professor John Mbiti, emeritus. He's passed on now.
Yeah.
He said, Africans, for example, take Africa for example, he said, Africans are, incurably religious.
Okay.
Africans are incurably religious. We look for religion in anything. In glass cup of water, in our shoes, in our drinks, in our dressings. You look for God and spirit everywhere. So in that same light, some of the religious gentlemen that were raised from the Christian environment or from the Islamic environment, they go into politics. Whatever they do there is a reflection of the quality of the leadership you have here. So what that means is this. In speaking to quality of leadership, the first is character. Privately. I'm so particular about that, not just about the gifts to lead.
You said it more than 3 times to point, to lay emphasis on the fact that, but again, like you said, I before we get to the root of that, I hope time permits us, we would like to dig a little bit around that place of character and all. But before then, looking at, okay, generally speaking again, looking at political leadership and Christian, now this is Christian politics, so Christians, ministers or men of God or people who have been raised in the church, looking at leadership generally, would you say Christians have done a better job than the non-Christians, in particular, both in politics, in business, in every other aspect, per se, if you were to measure up both ways?
Maybe that might take some 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes, because you're talking about comparative leadership.
Yeah.
One, every religion has a driving force and a driving spirit. And so, in that light, I would want to say, in doing comparison, we will have some 3, 4, 5 points to draw in there.
Okay. All right. While I'll let you ponder on that, if time permits us to come back to that, it's about time we take a little break. From what you've been getting, I'm sure it is worth your time. So if you've been watching, I implore you to stay back. We'll be right back in a short while. I just want to take a little break. All right, welcome back. It's still your program, Christians in Politics, here on RTM, your #1 station where you get both faith-based information, education, and entertainment all together fused in one place. So I implore you to join us and keep. Let's run this program continuously. And then also, let me also remind those of us joining us for the first time that we've just returned from the break, and we were talking about Christians in politics and leadership generally. We have in the house still our guest, Dr. Dare Ajayi. You're welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So we were trying to draw a comparison, but I won't want to let the cat out of the bag yet. Let me leave that. So, in your opinion, would you say Christians, looking at, I'll cite an example with the just concluded IYC Youth Convention. I want to say, I don't know if that is true. Christians have done a little bit better job as to going to the foundation of building what we may call the character now. Because we have programs in the IYC, you see both skill, both talks, experience came on board and were shared. And then across the nation, you see that Christians from time to time come up with programs that are geared at empowering the people. And now I won't, because I've not done my measurement yet, but I would say an effort towards helping shape character. Would that be true in your view, sir?
Now, let me go like this.
Okay.
In the bird family, you know the bird family?
Yes, sir.
We have various species in the bird family.
Good.
You have the eagle, you have the auk, you have owl, you have chicken, you have turkey, you have pigeon,
Dogs and
dogs, like that. All of them belong to the same family. They are all birds.
Yeah.
The eagle isn't the highest flying bird. There are other birds that fly higher, but they might not have the stability, grace that the eagle has.
Yes.
And so, in wanting to assess or appraise each of them and saying, oh, which of them is better between the eagle and the chicken, for instance, or the turkey, for instance, though they belong to the same family, you need to understand the fact that they are make and same. And so if I want to do a comparison, whether Muslims in politics or Christians in politics
or
non-religious persons in politics, the first thing that I will say is this, that what makes a 9-year-old girl a witch is not her stature, and it's not the kind of dress she has on, but what lies on the inside. Our witchcraft is operated by the force from within. How does that play out? You talk about Christians in politics. You talk about non-Christian in politics. If you look at the foundation of Christianity, is Christ. So we have a basis, a parameter.
From when?
Now, for someone else who is not a Christian, I could refer to scripture where he said, to you, Madam Agai, in you is a child with the spirit of a wild donkey. His hand will be against every man. Every man's hand will be against him. And yet he will dwell in the midst of his brethren. Same family, different species. If a Christian were to have, out of indecency, someone who claimed to have been a Christian were to have misappropriated $10 million, the noise that those who are not Christians will make on him will be much more than the one who is not a Christian who had made away with $20 billion.
Right.
Because everybody has come to the understanding that Christians are special breeds. Christ is a special breed. Some will say he's a prophet. I said, show me one prophet that never died, except but Jesus, who died and rose. So with that high standard, they measure us. So if you now want to compare a Christian in politics with a non-Christian in politics, you will not be fair, because the basis for assessment is not same.
It's not.
We are products of a supreme being, a supreme God, whose nature, that's why I said, he that bears, he that is born of God does not sin, because the DNA of God
is without sin.
Is in him. So he bears the DNA of God. In the kingdom of the devil, there is no love. So if you want to compare two kingdoms, one where the foundation is love, and that's God. In the kingdom of Satan, there is no love there, because God is love. That becomes an issue. So I would rather prefer that we said, generally speaking, what should we look for in any leader for us to have considered them godly?
Good. That's
So if you want to say, confirm whether this one is a godly leader or not,
No.
the first thing you need to do is to check his foundation, his source.
okay.
There's a difference between someone who is born again
Yeah.
and the other who is not. So if you want to do an
Even if
appraisal,
they were in the same
even
church
if
or in
it's the same,
street and come from the
exactly.
same- yeah.
So it's possible to have someone who is just being religious but not a Christian,
True.
but still attend church.
Yeah.
So if you have either of them go into politics, what they will manifest will be a
results-
function of what they had on the inside that had built them up.
The result will definitely be
The
different.
result will be different. So the question would now be, what should we as citizens look for in anyone that we intend to project?
That's interesting, and that's one of the things. Again, in buttressing your previous point, before we come back to that, you talked about the noise that people will make when a believed Christian does something that is less than what a non-Christian does. It goes to suffice to say that to whom much is given,
Much is required.
much is required. And that is true, because sometimes I wonder how that, if you look at the world today, not only in politics, even in ministry, people are so interested in talking about ministry, talking about pastors, talking about what should and should not be in the church, even if they have no knowledge of what actually happens there or how what they see on the outside is generated or built. It goes to explain that. So in your own view, what are some of the qualities, what are some of the things we should look for to ascertain
Okay.
truly?
Now, it's not difficult finding out the quality of the humanity in any leader.
Okay.
By that, I meant some leaders are hypersensitive to the feelings and the well-being of the people they are to govern. And so in that wise, even in the face of very complex decisions that should save the system, they are a little more careful on how it is being executed. For the one that has no humanity, say, let's just do it. And they will only scream and they leave it. They only scream and they leave it. But they are forgetting that they're not going to remain in that office for life.
True.
Because their own retirement will be a function of how they handle the humanity of others while they were in office. Some persons are in office, they lack humanity. They lack empathy. But they are in office. When they were looking for office, they went extra miles.
To see
They did all manner of things.
For other things. They went to these humans.
Exactly. You find someone who does not even fear God, but who will go to church and mosque to go look for votes.
Yes. Yes.
But the moment they get in there, because the original person in them was hidden while they were looking for offices, that original person comes out. You see, it doesn't matter for how long you try flush your mouth, like you say, brush, the conventional brushing. After eating garlic, it's going to smell. That's the way it is. So some persons don't have humanity. And when you are in leadership and there's no humanity, you become a very dangerous leader who has no empathy for human feelings while executing your project. Listen, sir, it is possible for me to punish severely anyone who had broken the law without having to disgrace them, because disgracing them will not add value to me.
Yeah, neither will it add to them.
The fact is that once there is no humanity in any man's leadership, there's a problem. And that will mean the fact that some persons are in office but who have lost touch with their foundation.
True.
How did I become what? We are all in leadership. We all practice. It's just that, you see, it's rather unfortunate that you have more theorists in leadership than practitioners. And that becomes a very serious problem.
Yeah.
Now, aside looking for humanity, you also want to look for the character, the virtue in the one. When you find a man who straight like this, straight eyeballs, tell lies to the people without a sense of guilt. Now, the reason you shouldn't be offended that you have a leader in politics who tell lies, who tell a lie, is because you were so insensitive in scanning them before election to knowing whether they lived a truthful life before office. You see, a man cannot be in office what he wasn't outside office. Someone said, I have a friend. While he was in office, he stole so much. And I said, it wasn't when he got to office that he began to steal. He's been stealing. Stealing has been part of his life before he got into office. Someone said, but this gentleman is a Christian. How come that now as a Christian, he does all manner of things? I said, You were the one that called him and described him a Christian. You know, sometimes we get angry for being stupid.
That's tough, sir.
No, you don't understand. Once I walked into this studio,
yes, sir,
I came in here on the honor of my rating of you,
yes, sir,
and this organization.
Thank you, sir.
If in the course of coming into this office, I find you did something below my expectation, or I find this organization in your organization at the point of entry, you know it will amount to stupidity for me to have been angry with you or your organization, because it was neither you nor your organization that rated themselves 80% in my heart. I rated you. So rather than being angry with you, I've only seen the reality of my scores. Rather than being angry with you, I should rather be angry with myself and scale down the rating so that the next time I had come around and you had gone below standard, I wouldn't have been offended. Maybe that's why the Bible said, anger lieth in the bosom of a fool.
Ooh, because the judgment is snappy. That's tough. What's that? So, but in measuring this standard, talking about the rating and all, where should we look? Because sometimes these people just suffice during that electioneering year, and then they are coming to your space and trying to ask for votes. Do you think we have maybe sufficient time to really vet them, or should we drive back to their history to try to see one or two? Or where do we get, or just listen to them? How do we find that place, or we listen to them with an open heart?
Number one, we need to always do a very good background study. You know, in the Western world, they do studies a lot. They do study, they run through your background, they do studies. Hey, this person came from this village, the parents are this one is that, this one is that. This one, aside the good side, they also go to weaknesses. But you see, somebody said, like you rightly said here, is it that we have little time to have appraised these persons? No, the channel you tune to at any point in time will determine the voice and the records you get. We are too emotional when it comes to scanning these gentlemen. We get too emotional. We get too childish. Someone came in for the first time and said, now listen to me. Once I am in office, I promise you, all of you, particularly students, I'm going to give you a car each. Someone who is emotionally stable knows that this one is a lie. True. Because how many students do you have? What is the financial status of the country or the company? No, you see, when you put all of this, the challenge we have is that most times we make mistakes, we run into errors when it comes to our electioneering or appointing men to leadership because we get too emotional.
True.
Yes, there will always be an element of emotion in everything we do as humans, but it must be regulated to the point where you don't hurt yourself by being too excessive. Somebody is coming to campaign, you look at him right on the stage, he's already falling off. And he said it's the wind.
It goes to say something.
It goes to say that there's something else. So what we need to regularly look for will not just be they coming to speak to us, but we're looking out for character, looking for integrity, looking for honesty, and looking for what I call competence.
Starting from what the
promises, the words they say, and even their use of words. Those words, very important.
That's interesting. So, our time is fast wrapping up. I won't Before I let you give us your final thoughts, whether Christians should really, true Christians now, should really be involved in politics or not, I'd like for you to just tell us a little bit about where to find you in case someone is watching and they said, I like to follow this. This is the kind of leader I've been looking for. Where do we find you? And then a bit about where to get your books. Also,
number one, there's nothing like a true Christian. It's either you're a Christian or you are not.
It's all right.
So, should they go into politics? Let's ask the people that groom them. I get a little enunciated when you said, this person is a Christian but is not doing right. I will ask you, where was he raised? Who is this pastor? Who is this imam? What did they know about him? It's as simple as that. Because a child will only reflect the nature of his father when he gets out. Yeah. When it comes to interaction, I don't know, I think on Facebook, you find me there. On YouTube, you find me there. Most of my titles, you find them on Amazon. Once you just press in Dr. Dare Ajayi, you'll find it there.
Dr. Dare Ajayi.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
That's all right. Thank you so very much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
I hope, for sake of time, we can't even fully exhaust your wealth of knowledge, but we hope to get you back again in the studio maybe sometime soon, next week or so.
The honor is mine.
Please, we would love to continue from there. So, again, once again, it's been Dr. Dare here with us in the studio, and you've seen his thoughts, you've listened to him. I implore you to join us again same time next week, where we'll come again with another episode, having him to talk to us some more. Once again, it's your program, Christians in Politics, and I am William C. Loho, signing out. Don't forget, follow RTM on YouTube, follow RTM on all social media, and also follow William C. Loho on social media. Thank you very much. Don't forget to stay tuned and always watch RTM, your number one station where you get both religion, both information, both entertainment fused in one. Thank you very much for watching this episode. God bless you and have a beautiful day.